Is the Great Nerf here? Is it here? No, there has not been a new dev post, but we are going to talk about this. Welcome, friends, to the Beaver Dam. We're not talking about a dev post. This is a Cold War silent nerf of 2025. The Great Nerf of 2021 was brutal on players, and I feel like we're almost having a Cold War version of that thing happening again to a lesser extent, but I do want to talk about it. I think it's really interesting, especially with the introduction of the Disguised Clone Trooper, as well as I epically failed against an Apokron Lord Vader with Darth Bane with a 70% health crown, and I was like, whoa, okay, now I'm kind of worried about the things. And so we're going to talk about this. I'm very excited to talk about it. But before we hop in, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for today, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is offering your choice of one of these 4 legendaries to new players that start today. Go check out that link down below, the QR code above. You're going to get started with 2 epic champions and then your choice of these 4. Of course, we're going to start with the wonderful Loki, the man of mystery himself. He'll keep your opponents dazzled and under ability block. This guy is amazing. Promo codes are all going to be above. You get your choice of one of these ones within your first 24 hours. Next up, we have Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong absolutely decimates your opponents, turns them into sheep, and steals their buffs, and is a completely ruthless nuker. Asset to anyone's roster for sure. Next up, we have Supreme Gaelic. Supreme Gaelic is amazing. He inflicts HP burn, which is basically just going to do sustained damage to all enemies constantly. It's amazing. And then, of course, my personal favorite, Alice the Wanderer. I love this character. She reduces turn meter, increases cooldowns, absolutely destroys people. So don't miss out. This is an amazing month to start off in Raid Shadow Legends. And if you want a full breakdown of how good these characters are and which one I would suggest going over and checking out my channel. I've been working on this channel for the last couple of months, and I have a video about these promo codes right now out on the channel, so you can go check it out and maybe drop a subscribe while you're there. You know, it helps out that channel get its leg up off the ground. But take advantage of this deal while you can and choose which one of these legendaries you want today. Thank you, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring this video. You guys are awesome. And make sure, if you're going to go check that out, you're not only getting those legendaries that I mentioned in that, you're also getting another legendary if you sign up today. So make sure you sign up today using that QR code or the link down below. Jumping in, so the point of the Great Nerf of 2021 was specifically to cut off meta counters, and I found some old Reddit posts, and I just loved going through these. Emperor Palpatine counter to Rey, you know, people talking about, oh, just a comprehensive GL counter guide, and some of this stuff. Best Rey counter, Darth Revan, Bastila, Geonosian Brood Alpha, Wat Tambor, and Thrawn. Kylo counter, also Darth Revan, Malak, Thrawn, Bastila, Sean Fallen. You know, Kylo can also be beaten by Padme, Gas, Echo, Fives, Wat. What a wild time to be a part of this game. This was a little before my time, but seeing stuff from it was really interesting. I started playing in 2021, and so I wasn't level 85 before the Great Nerf took effect. So it's interesting to see for sure. And seeing this graphic was so much fun to me. Who does Darth Vader beat? He beats Rey, JML, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and Sith Eternal. Like, I do think that the Great Nerf was warranted to some degree. I do think that that was the case. Like, stuff like this shouldn't be happening. Gas should not be taking out GLs on like a really solid level. I think that there was a certain meta shift that did need to happen. As painful as it was, I do think it needed to happen. I don't know if it needed to happen to the complete extent that we got it at, and I do think that today's nerf of 2025 could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I think it personally, it's a little bit of a bad thing. I think this all started with the introduction of the punishing one. Actually, I think the punishing one was the catalyst, because once the punishing one came into the game, they were like, okay, so we're dropping the punishing one. Well, now the punishing one's working better than Leviathan, so we need to up Leviathan's overall power threshold. And so this like took out all kinds of off meta counters and shattered the fleet meta already. But then the Thai Dorito changes were next, and the Thai Dorito changes, just like, you read it and you're like, none of this actually has to do with the Executor. The Executor's not about building turn meter. This is all just to nerf the Chimera. So all of a sudden we no longer have a Chimera counter, and so the off meta gets even worse. And so now we have to push for things like Bad Batch. We have to buy our Bad Batch Lightspeed bundles. We need to push for the new ship, the Marauder, to be able to get enough off meta counters to actually do things. We need to push to level up in endurance when no one's leveling up Mace Windu, because no one goes for JMK as a starting GL. We're all going for, the Rebel Trinity or our Lightspeed bundle GLs. And so already threw the fleet meta into chaos. And like, for me, this was actually one of the hardest moments in this game for me. Like, I've gone through a lot of times in this game. When I first started playing, the free to play was absolutely abhorrent. Now it's in a much better place. I love where the game is at now, but like, it was the first time that I'd ever been like, I don't really want to play GAC. I had like 2 or 3 streams where I was just like, I don't want to play GAC, because all of a sudden I couldn't beat any of the meta fleets anymore. I could beat Profundity and the rest I couldn't, because all of my counters were just dead in the water immediately. And I was just like, oh, I'm screwed. Fantastic. And then I think it's starting to continue. We saw Hermit Ezra come in, and this character that's, they're not going to be good with Rey, obviously brings into Rey. Now all of a sudden Starkiller is out of the lineup for taking out Rey. Ahsoka Tano is very resistant to off meta counters, and we're seeing Darkseid Rey enter in as well, and that made SLKR basically un-off metaable. And now we're seeing the clones coming in to lift up Lord Vader. It feels like they're without doing an actual nerf where they nerf things, which feels good. That is how a non-toxic meta should work. I will say that CG's doing a good job of making it a non-toxic meta, because they used to be a toxic meta, going back to that thing, and they still do this from time to time. Emperor Palpatine counters to Rey. If CG sees this post, they're going to nerf this counter immediately. Yep, it's already nerfed. Like, it used to be a toxic meta. You find something fun, it immediately gets nerfed. And occasionally they will do that just for balancing sake, and you'll see interactions that they didn't intend and they fix them. But for the most part, they haven't really been nerfing much. They haven't been changing kits much, just fixing things that like need some work. It's not reflecting what was actually intended, or at least so they say. They could just be lying to us, who knows? But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, just this once. But then, adding in these other characters is cutting out a lot of the stuff people are working towards. Like, Bo-Katan. I got Bo-Katan because I was like, I never want to have to worry about Lord Vader again. And now Bo-Katan can barely beat Lord Vader in 3s. And once we have the full team, I'm sure it's not going to beat it in 5s. And even in 3s, if it's modded correctly, probably won't beat it. So like, we're looking at a lot of the stuff that people worked on kind of being cut out of the meta, and a drastic shift towards off meta not being important, and to just go for big project after big project. Off meta is kind of being cut out entirely, and it's getting more expensive to become like an off meta account versus being a meta account, because it used to be that you could build for off meta and you could do a lot of good things. But now it's getting to that point where it's like, unless you have all the toys, you're basically screwed. And so it's pushing us towards Lightspeed bundles, of course, which aren't necessarily an awful thing, but it's also pushing us towards just going for new characters and stuff. The raids pushing us towards new characters and that type of thing. And so like, when you're looking at a character and you're like, well, the only thing that beats it now is the newest team, it doesn't feel great. And so this Cold War 2025 nerf is I don't know. I feel like it's in the works right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps going. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a new character into the Jabba the Hutt team to maybe cut out the Night Sisters at this point. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we start getting cutting outs of a lot of off-meta counters, just because with GAC, we've kind of gotten to a point where Kyber 1 has entirely too many teams. Even in Kyber 2, where I'm at, I end up with a ton of relic characters that I just don't use at all. But Kyber 1's like way past that, where it's like you basically put these 5 teams on, and then it's whatever current Datacron set is, and that's your defense every time. And it's just like, people want an expansion to GAC, but other people don't, because it'll add more time to your GACs, and there's an argument for both ways. But regardless of your beliefs, Kyber is getting crowded. You end up with just having, like, look at my opponent in Kyber 2. This guy has 7 GLs, or sorry, 7. There's 9 GLs in the game now. Sorry, 9 GLs. Brain's not working tonight. This guy's sitting here with 9 GLs. He has all these insane teams to utilize. How many of these teams is he actually going to use? Like, there's just not enough room to use all of these cool teams that we get. And so, like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with making GLs un-off metaable and GL ships un-off metaable. There's got to be a better word for that. Schmoogle-gorps. So, you know, making GL schmoogle-gorpable and making GL fleets schmoogle-gorpable is not something that I think is the solvent for this. And I can understand them trying to bring GLs back into being a position of power, because I do see Kyber 1 players dropping GLs off of their defense and using more Datacrons. And especially with the new Focus Datacron sets, the new Focus Datacrons are just absolutely insane. These Datacrons are just so busted, dude. Like, you know, you're looking at killing GLs with the Boba Scion and Django Cron with ease. Like, so I don't know. I don't know if they're shifting towards a more Datacron focused environment. I don't know if they're shifting to try and bring GLs back into defense as a major proponent in Kyber 1. Regardless, it feels a little bad to me. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think that this is a true, you know, new nerf of 2025? Do you think this is a Cold War of nerfing? Do you think the Great Nerf of 2021 is being repeated, but over time, so we don't notice it? You know, the whole boiling frog thing, where, you know, if you put a frog into boiling water, it'll immediately hop out. But if you put it into cold water on a stove and then slowly raise the temperature of water, it'll cook alive, because it won't realize the temperature of the water change, which is a gruesome way of saying we aren't noticing that we're getting screwed over time. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments, and, you know, throw in that comment as well. What is your favorite character inside Galaxy of Heroes specifically? Not Star Wars in general, Galaxy of Heroes specifically. I'm curious. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I'm a little worried. The punishing one, the Tidorito, was the thing that almost broke me, and I don't want to stop playing this game. I love Star Wars. I love this game. I want it to continue. I'm just a little worried for what they're doing, and maybe I'm completely off course. If so, throw it in the comment section. Flame me. I don't care. You know, I want to hear from you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. And once again, if you want to get started in Raid Shadow Legends today, take a look at that link down below. You're getting 2 legendaries, a whole bunch of cool stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for giving a damn.